day, we were in class. I was in band at the time, and the classroom phone rang, and the teacher went and he answered the phone. He got really serious. He got this really concerned, shocked look on his face, and he hung it up and he turned to us and he said, "Everybody sit down, be quiet. The bell's going to ring in a couple minutes. You're going to stay seated." And then he went over to the doors and he locked them. First, some of us were like, well, is it a bomb threat? Because we used to get bomb threats all the time, but then we realized that doesn't make sense because when we get a bomb threat, they evacuate us. And then we're like, is there some type of killer in the school? Is there a weather alert? The teacher wouldn't answer any questions. He was told not to. And the bell rang. We all stayed seated and we sat there for a really, really long time. And then the next bell rang, which means a whole other class period had passed, and still he said stay seated. And I can't tell you how long we were trapped in this room and nobody was telling us what was going on.
Because we had never had a situation like this, and we had practiced so many drills, if there's a bomb, we all go to the band lot. If there's a tornado, we all go to the basement. If there's a fire, we take these exits on this side. We always had a plan, and this was just something that we had never planned, and nobody was telling us anything. So eventually, they're texting their parents and calling their parents, and they're saying, "Do you know anything about this?" And the parents are all freaking out, and now it's like an ordeal. Some of the parents started listening to the police scanners, and it was getting back to us that there were ambulances outside of our school, and we're just like... And at this point, a lot of us are panicking because we think there's some type of shooter or something, because that makes sense. Like, okay, the doors are locked. They're telling us to be quiet. They're telling us not to move. They're telling us not to leave. There's ambulances outside. And finally, they just opened the doors and let us go. And they wouldn't tell us anything still. So we're just like, okay, we just sat in this classroom for like hours. There's ambulances outside of our school, and you're just gonna
room for like hours. There's ambulances outside of our school, and you're just gonna let us go to our next class? So you can probably tell by the title of this video what happened. A girl died in class during school hours. And here's the story on that. So earlier in that day, around like first, second period, somebody sold her a bunch of Oxycontins. She, during school, took all of them. She ended up going to her 7th period class at 3rd period, and she walked in and the teacher was like, "Honey, what are you doing here?" And she said, "Oh, I'm here for class." And the teacher was like, "You're not here until later, honey. It's only 3rd period." And I wasn't here for this, but supposedly when she walked away, she said to somebody else, "Oh, she's on something," or "She's drunk," or something. But it was obvious that she was on something. So she went a couple classes later and she put her head down on the desk. She was sleeping, and she was just kind of one of those students who, you know, showed up late and slept in class. Obviously didn't show a ton of interest. He was an amazing teacher. He was a caring teacher, but he didn't wake her up for I don't know what reason it was. I don't know if he just thought, you know, you can only try so hard to make somebody interested in class. I don't know if he figured, you know what, she could really use the sleep, just let her nap. But that class was over and the bell rang and everybody got up, but she stayed seated laying on her desk like this with her head down, and she wasn't getting up. So somebody who was sitting next to her nudged her and was like, "Hey, wake up, class is over." And she didn't move, and then she nudged her a little harder to wake her up, and that is when her arm fell completely limp to the side of the desk. So obviously at this point people start panicking. They roll her over and she is completely blue. I don't know how long she was out. I don't know how long she wasn't breathing, but she had completely OD'd and had not been receiving oxygen for enough time to turn her blue. That is when the ambulances were called. That is when the school was put on lockdown. She was taken out, obviously, and she died that day.